Last month, I paid $8 to have someone bring me a coffee. Not a fancy coffee, a regular coffee from a place 4 blocks away. The delivery fee was $3. The service fee was $2. The tip was $2. And there was a $1 convenience charge that I still don't fully understand. $8 to not walk 4 blocks. And the thing is, I didn't even think about it. I just tapped because it was easy, because I was busy, because convenience has become so embedded in how I spend money that I don't even notice it happening anymore. That's the problem. We are living inside what economists call the convenience economy, and it is one of the most expensive places to live. Here's how it works. Every time you would previously have done something yourself, cooked a meal, driven to the store, waited in a line, carried a bag, there is now a service that will do it for you for a fee, and not just one fee. Usually several fees stacked on top of each other, presented in a way that makes each one feel small and reasonable. The delivery fee, the service fee, the small order fee, the tip, the membership that was supposed to make it cheaper, the surge pricing you didn't notice, the premium tier you upgraded to because the free version was too slow. None of these fees are inherently wrong. Time has value. Convenience has value. But what happens in the convenience economy is that the fees multiply faster than you notice. The habits form faster than you evaluate them. And the total cost of your convenience lifestyle adds up to a number that would genuinely shock you if you saw it all in one place, which is exactly what we're going to do today. Meet Isla. Isla is 23. She works full time, has a decent salary, and genuinely feels like she doesn't have enough hours in the day. She uses convenience services constantly, not frivolously, she tells herself, but practically. She's busy. She's tired. She values her time. So let's look at what that actually costs. Food delivery, Uber Eats, DoorDash, 3 to 4 times a week. Average order with fees and tip, $42. Monthly total, $540. Grocery delivery, Instacart, twice a week. Average basket with delivery fee, service fee, and tip, $94 instead of the $70 she'd spend in store. Monthly overspend on convenience, $96. Amazon Prime membership, $139 a year, which she originally got for the free shipping, but free shipping led to more frequent ordering, which led to more impulse purchases, which led to an estimated $300 a year in items she wouldn't have bought if shipping had cost something. Laundry service, $40 per drop off, twice a month, $96. Coffee delivery, roughly 3 times a week at $8, including fees, $96 a month. Convenience fees on top of everything else. Express checkout, priority access, skip the line moments, roughly $40 a month. Total monthly convenience spend, just over $1,000. $1,000 a month, not on the products, on the convenience of getting them. Here's why the convenience economy is so hard to examine honestly. The first reason is that convenience fees are designed to be invisible. They're never shown as a total. They arrive one at a time at the bottom of a checkout screen, after you've already committed to the purchase emotionally. The delivery fee appears after you've chosen your meal. The service fee appears after you've chosen your delivery window. By that point, you're not evaluating whether to spend the money. You're just completing the transaction. The second reason is that convenient spending feels justified. You're not being frivolous, you're being efficient. You're buying back time. And time is genuinely valuable. There's nothing wrong with that logic and principle. The problem is that convenience has become the default response to every small friction in life, regardless of whether the time saved is actually worth the cost. Is the $8 for coffee delivery worth it? Only if the 20 minutes it would have taken to walk there and back was genuinely the constraint between you and something more valuable. Most of the time, it isn't. Most of the time, you spent those 20 minutes on your phone anyway. The third reason is that convenience habits are sticky. Once you've experienced the ease of having something delivered, doing it yourself feels like effort. even though it was completely normal before. Your baseline shifts, and once the baseline shifts, it's very hard to go back without it feeling like deprivation. Let me put some real numbers on what the convenience economy costs over time. Isla's $1,000 a month in convenience spending is $12,000 a year. Over 5 years, assuming no price increases, which is optimistic, that's $60,000. Now let's look at what that money could do instead. $60,000 invested at a 7% average annual return over 5 years becomes approximately $84,000. That's not hypothetical. That's compound interest on money Isla is currently spending on fees to not walk to a coffee shop. The convenience economy is not designed to help you save time. It's designed to help you spend money in a way that feels like saving time. So, what do you do about it? Here is a 3-step convenience audit. Step 1, add it all up. For 1 month, tag every convenience related expense in your budget: delivery fees, service fees, tips on delivery orders, memberships, express options, premium tiers, everything that exists to make something easier or faster. Add it up at the end of the month. See the number. Most people find it is significantly higher than they expected. Step 2, apply the time test. For each convenience you're paying for, ask, how long would it actually take me to do this myself? And is what I did with the time I saved worth the cost? If you pay $42 for food delivery and you genuinely use the time saved to rest, to exercise, to spend time with someone you love, that might be worth it. If you paid $42 for food delivery and you spent the time scrolling, it wasn't a time purchase. It was a friction avoidance purchase. And those are different things. Step 3, identify your defaults versus your choices. Some convenience spending is a genuine choice. You evaluated it and decided it was worth the cost. Some of it is a default. You never decided to spend the money. It just became what you do. Defaults are the dangerous ones. Choices are fine. Go through your convenience spend and label each one: choice or default. Then eliminate the defaults first. You never consciously chose them. You won't miss them. So what did Isla do? She did the audit first. Her actual number was $1,040 a month. She went through and labeled everything choice or default. Food delivery 4 times a week, default. She never decided to do it that often. It had just become what happened when she was tired. She cut to once a week on Friday evenings as a deliberate treat. Monthly saving, $400. Grocery delivery? She kept it once a week but switched to pickup instead of delivery. Same time saving on the shop itself. No delivery fee or tip. Monthly saving, $48. Coffee delivery, eliminated entirely. She bought a decent coffee maker and started making it at home most mornings. Monthly saving, $84. Laundry service, kept 1 drop off per month, did the second load herself on Sunday. Monthly saving, $40. Total monthly saving, $572. Annualized, $6,864. She didn't give up convenience. She gave up the convenience she'd never consciously chosen. Convenience is not the enemy. Time is genuinely valuable. Rest is genuinely valuable. Paying for ease when you can afford it and it meaningfully improves your life is a completely reasonable financial decision. But the convenience economy is not neutral. It is actively designed to make spending feel effortless, to stack fees in ways that obscure the total, and to turn convenience from an occasional choice into an unconscious default. You are allowed to audit it. You are allowed to choose what stays and what goes. And you might find, as Isla did, that most of what you keep is the same, and what you cut, you never really chose in the first place. Comment convenient below. What's your biggest convenience spend? The one that you know is probably not worth it, but you keep paying for anyway? I want to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't. EP 17 is next, and we are talking about subscriptions. Why everything feels like a subscription now, and how to figure out which ones are actually worth it. See you next week.